Hey, buddy.
New tonight, 6 puppies recovering after a possible overdose on the west side. The quick thinking from firefighters.
Sunny and warm again tomorrow, but we're talking a big pattern change that brings about widespread fog later this week.
Idaho won't raise taxes to balance the state budget.
Facing a skyrocketing budget deficit, Governor Brad Little making big promises to Idahoans, why Medicaid may be taking a hit tonight. Good evening, and thank you for joining us for KREM 2 News. I'm Sydney Schofield. I want to give you a live look tonight at City Hall, where City Council wrapped up their first meeting of the new year. It ended up being a stacked agenda tonight, most notably Council taking a look at an ordinance to possibly ban the sale and distribution of KREM. KREM 2's Cody Proctor reports.
Things may be clear now just outside Spokane City Hall, but just hours ago, it wasn't, both outside and inside the building.
We will not put up with ICE!
Monday night for the Spokane City Council meeting started with chants from protesters against ICE. While inside, 3 members of the City Council were sworn in, incumbent Zach Sapone and freshman council members Kate Tellis and Sarah Dixit. A short ceremony before a long meeting. One item initially on the agenda, a ban on the sale and distribution of KREM, ended up being deferred until February, to the surprise of some public commenters.
Hi, I signed up for the KREM, so I will sign up for February.
KREM is described as a psychoactive drug derived from plants, but the city's concerned about a concentrated synthetic version, often sold in convenience or health stores. It can cause a stimulant effect like caffeine in small amounts, but higher doses can have an opioid-like effect. Another heated topic of the night, whether or not to accept a $1 million grant from the U.S. Department of Justice to hire 8 new police officers. The grant comes with conditions, including one to not prohibit or restrict the federal government from getting and sharing immigration status info. The conditions gave council members pause.
We cannot do it if it's going to put us in a situation where we will potentially have these dollars clawed back and potentially be sanctioned in order and not able to access other dollars.
I think it makes sense for us to have pause when it comes to these dollars, especially if we don't really know what we're on the hook for.
The City Council also had a final reading to recognize the importance of cultural celebrations such as Martin Luther King Jr. Day and Juneteenth. The move comes in light of the federal government taking those holidays off the free admission days for national parks. The ordinance passed 6-1. In Spokane, Cody Proctor, KREM 2 News.
Cody, thank you. All right, let's take a first look at what's been a rather warm day out there. Chief Meteorologist Jeremy Legoo is live in the Outdoor Weather Center tonight. And Jeremy, it's quite warm even now.
I did not put on the coat because it is that kind of warm outside. We sit in the upper 40s this late at night. It is a very warm evening everywhere. Temperatures above freezing and in the 40s, pretty widespread. We have a little bit of moisture, most of that staying up to the north or in the panhandle. Basically, if you saw showers earlier today, you're going to hang on to a little bit of that moisture overnight. We're not getting much colder though. Temperatures are going to slide a little bit. I have us falling back into the 30s here in Spokane by tomorrow morning, and that is possible, but it's going to be pretty hard to do. By tomorrow afternoon, we are knocking on the door of 50 degrees. Coeur d'Alene probably doing it. We're probably doing it as well. It's just really hard for me to commit to putting 50 degrees on the 7-day. 49 is where I have us. Mostly sunny and 49. Fog returns to the forecast Wednesday morning, and that will keep our temperatures much cooler through the second half of the week. We'll talk that weather pattern coming up in just a bit.
It is time now for your Night Beat with a quick look at today's top stories. New body cam video from the Snohomish County Sheriff's Office shows the moments after deputies and firefighters saved 6 puppies who may have been exposed to fentanyl.
Okay, buddy.
You can hear them there. 3 10-week-old puppies were brought unresponsive to a local fire station in cardiac and respiratory arrest. Firefighters gave them CPR, oxygen, and Narcan, which the puppies quickly responded to. Deputies then went to the home where the puppies had been living and found 3 more sick puppies. They were also rushed to the fire station and treated for possible drug exposure. Authorities say fentanyl has not been confirmed at this time, but all 6 puppies were taken to an emergency vet clinic, and they are now recovering. The Justice Department has charged a man shot by federal officers in Portland, Oregon last week for, quote, violently striking a Border Patrol agent's vehicle. The DOJ released these images of a damaged Border Patrol vehicle tied to the shooting that occurred during a traffic stop on Thursday. Prosecutors say Luis Nino Moncada repeatedly struck a federal law enforcement vehicle with his car. He's facing a charge of aggravated assault of a federal officer with a deadly or dangerous weapon. A woman was also shot during this encounter. It's unclear if she will face any charges. And things are slowly getting back to normal in Wallace as the community continues to process a shooting at the Shoshone County Sheriff's Office just one day after Christmas. 3 people were injured in that shooting. The 77-year-old suspect was shot and killed by police. Sheriff William Eddy sat down with KREM 2 today, saying the department is back open, but services remain limited.
It's been a rally from, within the community, and everybody wants to know why, but unfortunately we probably never will know that. That's my number one goal, is making sure that everybody's safe here. So, and people that come in here, that they feel safe.
Sheriff Eddy says recovery from the shooting is just one challenge facing the county. Other priorities include jail upgrades, hiring and training deputies, and closing budget gaps without a sheriff's levy. That's it for your Night Beat. For more on any of these stories, head to our website, krem.com. This year's legislative session in Idaho kicked off with Governor Brad Little unveiling his Enduring Idaho plan to get the state out of a projected budget deficit totaling hundreds of millions of dollars by 2027. KREM 2's Connor McAvoy tells us which cuts the governor says needs to be on the table.
Idaho won't raise taxes to balance the state budget.
Strong words from Idaho Governor Brad Little as he delivered his State of the State address at the Idaho State Capitol Monday night as he kicked off this year's legislative session. In it, he advocated for fewer taxes despite a projected state budget deficit of nearly $50 million in 2026, as well as more than $500 million by 2027. He says a rise in people moving to the Gem State is a major contribution to the state facing financial setbacks.
Rapid population growth, business expansion, and one-time federal funds to a period ahead that demands restraint.
Governor Little says that restraint includes a 3% budget cut across multiple state agencies annually through the Idaho Act, passed in August of 2025 to address budget shortfalls. He projects this will help save roughly $120 million. He also suggests removing $275 million in the Strategic Initiatives Fund for Idaho's Transportation Department and to lower Medicaid provider reimbursement rate cuts by 4%. This, Governor Little proposes, will help save $45 million. He says the sooner tough budgetary decisions are made, the better.
Responsible leadership means acting early, not waiting for challenges to grow.
Despite the cuts to ITD and state agencies, Governor Little says education funding for public schools won't be touched. In fact, he echoed expansions to school resources across the state, saying those won't change in 2026.
We made historic investments in school facilities that also served as property tax relief, and we added more discretionary funding so schools can stay flexible and responsible to local needs.
He says it'll take time for the state to get out of this year's projected deficit, but adds these cuts are reflective of federal cuts made through President Donald Trump's legislation and believes this model will be the best way for the state to financially operate.
Our Enduring Idaho plan makes way for Idaho to conform to the Trump tax cuts achieved through the One Big Beautiful Bill.
Connor McAvoy, KREM 2 News.
Still to come tonight, we're learning the identities of the 2 Washington skiers killed in an avalanche over the weekend. And the Washington State legislative session kicks off today. The key issues lawmakers are looking to tackle. That's in just 90 seconds.